Hi, I'm Sue.
And I'm Lisa. We are retired teachers who each have taught over 30 years in elementary schools.
I started to write a book about all the funny things that happened to me as an educator, but I couldn't get anyone to read it. So my friend Lisa here, who is also hysterical, decided to share these stories together out loud.
And so was the birth of our podcast.
We didn't know
what we didn't know.
Sit back and enjoy.
Hey, Sue, were you a good student? Were you an A student, B student?
Yes.
C student,
Lisa,
D student?
I was a 4.0 student, and that's just because I wanted to be.
Oh, I was more of the
What was your
B.
GPA?
In high school? Oh, I have no idea.
Well,
I had a wide range of letters.
but I mean, weren't you college bound and weren't you told
Yeah.
you better get a 4.0?
No.
Holy moly.
No, I mean, I mostly had A's, but I had some B's, and every once in a while I'd get a C. I really wasn't motivated by grades. I'm motivated by learning. I love learning, but I wasn't. I do. I love to learn. You fucking.
You sound like a teacher.
I love learning. It's the best thing ever. I like to learn. I like the idea of school. I just wasn't really motivated by grades.
Okay.
But I got into sports. I didn't care. I wasn't striving. If I got things wrong, I'd be like, I got some things wrong. It was not important to me that I had everything perfect.
Sure.
It was not important to me that I had straight A's. I was very social. I mean, I didn't want to fail. I didn't fail anything, but I took very hard courses.
How many kids were in your graduating class?
Right around 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because see, that made a difference too, because when you went to a small school like that,
Yeah.
you could be in sports.
Oh,
you could be in drama.
I was in band and choir, and you could be in
Yes,
like, yeah.
because at my school, there's no way I would have even come close to being on the JV team, even close. I was bad. And like to be in drama, no way could I be in any of these plays. I was not even close to being good enough to be in a play.
Are you saying
Yeah.
I was a big fish in a little pond and you were a little fish in a big pond?
Pretty
Okay.
much that's kind of a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And so
But,
it does make a
I
difference
mean, it was
in
still,
how you.
yeah, but I mean, you had more people, but it's still like you had the same level of academics.
Right.
You just had more.
Right.
You had more competition.
Right. And so you just had to find your niche and it had to be a little bit different. And so you couldn't.
Your niche was school. So we're going to talk about grading.
I've always enjoyed rating things. And so I wanted to talk less about grades and more about rating things.
Okay.
I just got this text from my family.
Okay.
And we've always graded roadkill. And we had a scale from 1 to 10. And now remember, I enjoy putting names to things. So we always had a one on roadkill it just got
Annihilated. Just
No.
Oh.
It's the opposite. 10 was like.
Oh, so you were a scale of 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
So
10 was
1 was like
annihilated.
lightly bruised.
Right. And so now what we have, it's just 5.
Oh, okay,
So
5.
here they are. Number 1,
Yes.
open casket.
Oh.
So you could have a lovely open casket for
That's
that.
a nice rubric for that. That's your descriptor.
Number 2, bloated.
Oh,
Okay.
See, now that's
3, mild dismemberment.
Okay, but you also have that
You
a little bit of decay.
Right, you can still tell it was a
You
deer
have-
or a raccoon.
A little bit of
Or a
decay.
squirrel. Okay, 4, smears, but dental ID needed.
Smears.
Smears with dental ID needed.
Okay.
And number 5, ground beef.
Oh.
And now,
Is that part where pieces are different places? Yeah.
right. Then my other son chimed in. He said, I still feel we need a scale of 1 to 10 because I'm a little on the fence with this point system because otherwise you'd end up with 0.5.
Well, you have that age factor too.
True.
You know, like how long it's
True.
been. Yeah.
But
like,
therefore,
yeah.
you'd have these 0.5s.
That's so gross.
What happened was in my childhood, I wanted to convey to people, for instance, I would go in a bathroom on a trip and I would come back and I'd say, oh my gosh, that was a 1. And
Right.
A 1 is very bad. And so it started with a gas station on the corner of Losey Boulevard and Cross Street. And it was a 0. That bathroom was a 0. First of all, you had to go get the key and you had to open it up.
Okay.
And when you walked in, the floor was all uneven and wet. You
Right.
don't know what the wetness was.
Ew.
The mirror was kind of cracked, and instead of soap, it was Gojo. Gojo was this hand cleanser for mechanics, and it was
Okay.
gritty and smelly. And
Okay.
and then you turn on the sink, and you had to like push down with your elbow because it didn't
Yeah.
stay on, and it was
Yeah.
cold water.
It's the kind of bathroom that you flush with your foot too.
Yes. I don't even know if it did flush. But what I'm saying is that was a 0. And from that moment on in my
But
childhood.
can you have a 0?
To me, that was a 1. But it was the worst I'd ever seen. And so from that moment on, we were looking for the golden.
The golden bathroom.
Well, and we had a scale of 10.
Yeah. My sister and I went to the mall.
Which mall?
The mall in town here.
Yeah.
And we went to the bathroom there, and it was a 10.
No.
Oh, I'm not kidding.
No.
This was so clean, you could have
No.
eaten off
A
the
10.
floor.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
Here's the
I don't
system.
know.
The system.
Whatever your scale is.
The system is this. If it has to be 100% hands free, flushing the sink, the soap, and the towels,
Wait, is
and
the
the
10
door. 10 is great.
Yeah, it was. It was.
It has to have gold fixtures. No. It has to
Oh,
have
okay,
decorations.
okay, well,
there's more to the
Okay,
scale.
on the scale of cleanliness.
Okay, yeah, scale. Yeah, cleanliness scale. I will give you a 10.
Yeah.
But that is only one part, and that's the confusion.
But you've
about grades.
you've got to have the atmosphere, the
Right. They're fresh flowers.
the ambience, the smell, the
all of it. The good lighting,
the whole
free
experience,
stuff.
Why are we talking
I want
about
a bowl of
bathrooms?
tampons. I don't know. I just want some chapstick.
There's no 10s in school bathrooms.
No. But beyond that, in life, you have to know the scale. And I think that's why grading for some people wasn't motivating, because you just be like, what does a 4.0 mean?
What does it mean? Well, that's what letter grades. That's what I was getting at. Letter grades don't mean anything.
Not really. And then
because it's subjective.
And my brother is listening, and they had a 5-point scale when his children were growing up. That meant you took AP classes, and you had to have a 5.0 to get into. And that just changes everything.
Yeah.
You're like, well, what does it even mean? What does that aim?
If you have the letter scale versus the points.
Well, then you have somebody says, oh, you went to that school. An A there isn't the same as an A here. It's like, well, come on.
It's too subjective. And the thing is, with a letter grade, a lot of times I would get a paper growing up. I get a paper and I have like a B on it. I had no idea.
Especially writing. Yeah.
Yeah, writing. I'm like, why'd I get a B? Because I misspelled one word.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tell me more?
I never knew. So I wasn't like, I did the best I could. And I was okay with doing the best I could. I mean, I probably could have applied myself. But I got in college. I've been very successful. But I didn't care to have perfect A4. I mean, there are people that I know that literally fall apart. They don't have 100% all the time.
Oh, yeah.
That's too much stress.
And a lot of that is cultural. There's a lot of parents that they would say, what is this minus? Tell me more. And they're maybe jokey, but they really aren't.
I had parents that would read every paper that would come home. My kids, they'd bring home papers. I'd kind of look through, oh, you're learning this. But I didn't go through and say, oh, that teacher missed that. That should have been this, or you missed this, and analyzing I'm like, it's just a practice worksheet.
That's why I think in life, if you can make it fun, we as a family, I have 2 boys, they're married. My husband, we will do tastings.
Oh, yeah.
And we will do fizzy water. We did pumpkin beers. We do chocolate.
Nice.
And we would just rate them. This was really weird. We did all the colas, and we didn't know what we were drinking. And that's part of the fun,
that could
too.
Be very dangerous.
The one that came in first was Pepsi Zero. We all thought it was very sugary.
Well, there's a lot of bias in grading. There's a lot of bias in everything. And the thing is, a lot of times, just like, for instance, like Coca-Cola versus Pepsi.
Yeah.
And advertising makes such a big influence on people. So they did a test, and they had 100 people, and they blindfolded them. And they said, pick the one that you want best.
What do you like better? Yeah.
Right. And overwhelmingly picked the taste of Pepsi, which is weird.
People
and then the
like
next group, 100 people came in, and they didn't blindfold them. They had a Pepsi and a thing, and they tasted them both. Which one do you like? And Coke won. And it's just because of all that.
And that is totally why when I was a writing teacher, and I helped grade these essays for this contest in the Chippewa Valley, if I don't know the children, we take the names off of them.
Yeah, you have to.
That's when you can grade things fairly.
Yeah, because it's so easy to get biased. Like if you have a student that always gets 100%, or they always get an A or whatever grading scale, or a 4 on the rubric, or whatever, and they always consistently get it, you're going to read through that faster with the assumption that they're going to get that again. Right. Whereas somebody that's
and that's why
a little deeper, somebody that struggles.
So many we did an old school podcast, but people will look at the spelling, the grammar, and the punctuation, and that's writing.
Yeah,
that's
that's not
why
writing.
feedback, if I could have, I would have just given a little summary, a paragraph for each child.
Yeah.
But I want to share this with you. So my son's a teacher, and he's been a teacher of science for a while, and a student drew a picture of him teaching, and he gave him comments about where he was on the Harry Potter scale. So for instance, he's very smart and happy, just like Hermione. He's saved me very many times when I needed it.
Like Ron. Okay.
He's cool, and he saved Ron so many times.
That's very creative.
And so what a cool thing.
Really
this is
funny, smart.
And he called him professor. And
That's so creative.
Really cool.
I love the picture of him.
Right. And
he's kind of got that down.
These are high school kids. This is high school seniors drawing a picture of him, writing on the board, saying science is cool. You know that feedback.
They've had a connection. Yeah.
They've made a change.
Well, when we got rid of letter grades, they're like, oh, I need letter grades. I need letter grades.
Oh.
The 4, 3, 2, 1.
How am I doing?
Is not telling me anything. Well, the ABC wasn't telling you anything either. It showed you effort. It showed you effort, but it didn't really show you what they were learning. So then they moved to the rubric and the grading scale. And then they just thought, well, a 4 is an A. And that's not true. They're completely different things.
And a 4 meant to me meant you are going above and beyond what is expected of you.
Right, the standard.
A 3 is you are meeting the standard.
Right.
And a 2 is you have
but
a ways to go.
But it's not an ABCD. It's a different thing.
Not at all. And that's the other thing.
For a while, we had to give letter grades and standard grades. That was a mess. And then we just went to standards. But the thing is, a lot of those things we couldn't give 4s.
No.
Like in math.
We were forbidden to give a 4.
Well, no, but I mean, in math, you're teaching the standards. And like for 5th grade, those standards end at the end of 5th grade.
Right.
And so we covered the 5th grade curriculum. And then when they go to middle school or 6th grade, then it became a whole new set of standards. So you really, unless you were going and getting 6th grade materials and bringing it in, you really couldn't
then my question
go
always
above
was
the standard because the standard ends.
But my question always was, what is the point of having a 4 at all?
Right.
We were not allowed to give a 1 because they had to have an intervention, and we were not allowed to give a 4. So you either got a 2 or a 3.
Right.
So basically you were going, yeah, or yay. That's it.
I like to continue. When my kids, I think it was the younger grades, but they had like a little bar.
Yeah.
And it was like a little continuum, and they would just put a star on that continuum where you thought they were in comparison to their class. And I kind of like that. I'm like, okay, I can see it. But the thing that parents would always come in, they're like, how is my kid doing? How are they doing comparison to the rest of the kids? Right in the middle of the pack. I always say, they're leading the pack a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a little work to get to the middle of the pack.
What was really powerful, and I did this 100%, I would make copies of every child's paper, cut off the name. And a lot of these were written with their fingers. Finger writing is what we call finger writing. They would do it with their pencils, is what I'm saying, not typing. And I would have a very, very poor finger writing. That's a new thing. Write it down. I would push out a paper that was very poor.
Yeah.
I'd push out a paper that was very middle, and I'd push out a paper that was excellent. Then I'd push out their paper, and I'd make sure it wasn't the very poor one that I was showing as an example.
Yeah.
And I could say, make your own judgment.
Yeah.
Here's taste test. What do you think?
Well, the thing is,
otherwise it's worthless.
The thing is, we'd have to norm. So we'd always get together, the 4 5th grade teachers, we'd get together and we'd take one of the students and we'd take off the names and we're like, okay, this is a lower paper, this is a medium, this is high. And then we'd say, okay, we'd all read the same paper and we'd grade it based on the rubric. And so we were all on the same page. So we didn't have one teacher giving all 4s and the other one giving all 2s.
But again,
so we're all kind of in the same
What
ballpark.
are you looking at in the paper? Are you looking at the creativity? Are you looking at
all of it? Well, that's what a good rubric has.
Because that's why the bathroom scale.
Rubrics are great because it breaks it down, but rubrics are really hard because they take forever to grade.
Right, but also to say this is an A paper because you gave the mall bathroom an A, and I'm saying, oh no.
Yeah.
That can't.
But
be
that's
an A.
old. But you didn't give me the descriptor.
Right. So in papers we had the 6 traits of writing, and
I like the 6 traits.
I loved it, and I don't think they're doing that much anymore. But that's like, what about the structure? What about the word choice? What about the voice? All those things. And then
the conventions. Because I think really when I was a kid, I would think I was only graded on the conventions.
Oh, for sure.
Only the spelling, the punctuation.
And not using whiteout.
How many times you wrote
That's
it?
cruel. Well, I had a dream. This is so weird. I had this dream, and I know it's still in my head, that my sister was taking up, this is so bizarre. She got a 3.8
Yeah.
in power mowing. That was a class she was taking.
Oh my God.
My sister's in her 50s. But I'm like, well, 3.8, that's pretty good. But okay, is that out of 10? Is that out of 4?
Yeah.
What is power mowing? Does that mean not push mowing? I just woke
Oh my
up
gosh.
and I wrote it down. You know how you write down things
Yep.
like, oh, this is
Yep.
funny.
That's so
and now,
weird.
3.8 power mowing. I told her that. She goes, what?
Did you have a 4.0 all through college too?
Pretty much.
I did graduate school. I have a 4.0 with hundreds of credits. But
Yeah.
when you're in college, you are very motivated by grades because that's
Right.
You have to have it because that gets you into.
But that's why once you hit student teaching, and I think any career that allows you to be mentored or to be an intern or something is more powerful. You're going to learn so much more. And I had some pretty putsy student teachers back in the day, and I also had some really great ones.
Yeah.
And it was pass or fail. That was always really crazy because as the cooperating teacher, we were not given a whole lot of credit. We were like their bosses, and we had to write them letters of recommendation. We had to fill out all this paperwork on them. And it's funny because that is still, you're grading them based on like their personality, based on so many things.
Oh,
and we're deciding their fate.
Professionalism.
Yes, their fate is in your hands. But I just remember thinking, grade me as a cooperating teacher because we still were graded, Lisa, as teachers, and it was a 1 and 4. And so my last year,
you mean the
Danielson model, which we've talked about quite a bit on this podcast.
That was 26 different descriptors.
26 descriptors.
And then we had to come up with artifacts to prove it.
Prove it. And I remember my last year of teaching, I just gave myself all 4s and I slammed the door. And I also wrote a lot of snarky comments using white font. I got all 4s. I gave myself all 4.
Oh, the principal, and he would grade you too on that.
Right, but I didn't even look at it because that's the other thing. By this point,
it doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Well, my last year, it was my summer year where they had to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have to do it. Anyway, what we learned through the years is grading is subjective.
Right.
So let's tell a lot.
I'm going to quiz you of our last thing here before we go. I'm going to give you, do you like chocolate?
Yeah.
Okay. So
chocolate's my life.
Okay, me too. So this is our first scale after the bathroom scale that we came up with as a family. So we have a 1 to 10 for 10. Chocolate.
That's a lot.
I know. So what would
a lot of variability.
Right. So what would you give Hershey's candy bars? This is a Hershey's bar.
1 to 10?
1 to 10.
Just a Hershey's. 2, 3.
2. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, what about a Dove bar?
Oh, maybe a 6.
Okay. What about Palmer?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's like the little foil bunnies that kids give you that are like
less than 5. Yeah,
less than 5. Yeah. Okay, and then what? Do you have a Ghirardelli? What is?
Oh, now you're getting up to the 7. But see, the thing is, everybody has their own taste. The problem too. For instance, if you're grading a paper and it's on
heraldry,
and heraldry, and you have no interest at all in heraldry, you're not going to score it as somebody who's really creative and they write about Samuel Clemens, who's
Samuel Clemens, or
because that's just interesting shit.
Fascinating, such good shit. But I'll tell you what, Lisa. Also, there are people that are funny. I always graded them higher.
Oh yeah.
Science fiction, I liked. I graded them higher. But there are people who just can't stand that. It's like, sporty Spice here is writing about volleyball.
I had some really overachievers, like really, really amazing writers my last couple of years. And one girl turned in an information report and it was 40-some pages. It was probably college level. I'm not kidding you. This was a college level paper. But to look at it, I'm like, oh God,
I don't want to read this.
And it was the tiniest
You know what it was though, really? It was All Work and No Play Make Jack a Double. Now that's a movie reference. Do you get that?
Yeah, I did.
Shining. Okay.
Yeah.
This is heraldry. Isn't that great?
Oh,
okay.
So it's your coat
it's
of
all
arms.
about coats of arms and how they come from heraldry. Yeah. So, Lisa, I think we want everybody out there to go out and rate our podcast a 5. If you can't rate it a 5, just don't. Yeah. Just don't even bother. If you rate our podcast, we will actually be out there and be seen. So give us a grade, and if it's not a 5, go away. Is it a 5 or a 4?
It's out of
5.
5. But, if you give us a 5, you don't have to vote, whatever, but be honest.
No, 5.
But,
no.
yeah, don't give us a 1 or 2. But please write a comment.
Yes,
we need comments.
We just need to be up
because
in the ratings.
I have to tell you.
Yes, tell me.
We're kind of losing steam a little bit. We really want to keep doing this, but are people enjoying it? We need some feedback.
Yes, because that's the thing. As a student, as a teacher, we were always giving grades or getting grades.
Because you have to have some kind
feedback.
You have to have some feedback. Like, even though I didn't like the letter grade, like, why'd I get a B kind of thing.
Right.
But I still got feedback, and it still made a difference.
And social media is the worst. It's the worst. Social media is the worst, Lisa. Facebook, it's the worst.
For feedback?
For feedback. Well, and just you're putting it out there going, hello, and people are just like, that's it. They just do nothing.
Or some people are brutal to other people. Feedback is important,
yes.
and it validates whether you're doing something well, or maybe you need to improve on something. So grading is important.
Yeah,
you like that? Validate.
It's true. And good segue back to where we started. So my sister Beth, I'm proud of you for getting a 3.8 in power mowing. And I am going to tell you right now that
you know what could she have done to get a 4? Probably
I don't know.
Slow down a little bit.
I think she maybe missed a few blades. Mm-hmm. So everybody out there, go grade something, and hey, tell us what you graded in some comment section in one of our social medias. We're out there.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. We didn't know what we didn't know. We'll see you next time.